my beautiful divas, it's Dew here. Welcome if you're new and welcome back if you have been here before. Today I'm going to be starting off a brand new series on my channel where I basically create nail sets inspired by the straw hats from One Piece. And the first episode is obviously going to be one of my favorite characters from the Straw Hats, so that's going to be Tony Chopper. If you're a One Piece fan, you guys know how emotional his backstory is, and I want to bring that back into the set. Before we get into the design, I wanted to let you know that all the products I've used for this set are all going to be linked in the description below. Additionally, I have also been using design templates to basically help me plan out my work, and hopefully that will allow me to explore and develop my style as I keep doing this. So it has been really helpful for me basically to visualize my final set. If you are interested in this template, I did leave a free Google Drive link down below, and if you guys want to go ahead and download it, you can use it for your own designs. Alright, so let's get into it then. So first up, we've got the snow nail, which I was inspired by Drum Island. And for those of you who don't watch One Piece, I'm just gonna give you like a quick little rundown. So basically, Chopper is a reindeer who ate the human fruit. It sounds really funny, I know, which gave him the ability to transform into a human reindeer hybrid. But because of this, he was actually rejected by his own herd and actually was seen as a monster by humans. His story was all about like finding acceptance and friendship and purpose. For this nail, I went with a beautiful periwinkle gel polish to capture the icy feel that Drum Island gives, and I painted 2 very thin coats, curing each coat to prevent any wrinkling, because you guys, I got these new gel polishes for my Christmas present and I'm really thankful for that. They are really pigmented, so when I was actually testing them and playing around them, the thinner the coat the better, because I did notice a lot of wrinkling through that because of the pigmentation. After the 2 coats were fully cured, I basically used this really cheap base coat that I had laying around from a set. It's going to be acting as a layer to help me adhere the acrylic powder on top, and then I poured the white acrylic powder over it and started carving out Chopper's footprints into the snow. Guys, the acrylic needs to be white for this. So Drum Island's where Chopper's journey really begun. It's a frozen kingdom covered in snow, and it's where he actually meets 2 of the most important people in his life who changed his life, and that would be Dr. Hiriluk and Dr. Kureha. The snow here isn't just a backdrop though, it's a symbol of Chopper's loneliness and isolation. So before meeting them, Chopper actually was completely alone and rejected. So with me incorporating the snow, I wanted to kind of capture the cold, harsh reality that he lived in, but also sets the stage for the warmth and the love that he eventually finds with the Straw Hats. The next nail is going to be inspired by Dr. Kureha and the cherry blossoms. If you guys remember, she's actually the badass doctor who took Chopper in and basically raised him after Dr. Hiriluk. This nail is based on the iconic scene at the end of Drum Island arc where she actually sets off the pink Sakura snowstorm. She did it to give like Chopper the heartfelt send-off, and I thought that was super cute, you guys. I cried a lot. So for this nail, I painted half of it with blue gel polish and the other half with periwinkle, but I left a gap deliberately there because I wanted to blend the middle to create like this little ombre, but I don't want it to be as opaque. But these polishes are super pigmented, so it didn't really matter. Then I am just quickly going to flash cure that, and next I'm going to just layer the mixed gel that I've mixed with the mylar flakes and the glitter with the IBD gel. Then I used the 3D gel. I was so happy to bust this gel out because I finally get to create more 3D art for you guys, and I get to practice on that as well. I'm going to be using a 3D gel to create Sakura flowers. I really wanted these flowers to have this like specific texture, so I basically painted them with a mix of pink and white gel, and while they're wet I poured the clear acrylic over them to give me that textured finish. So while I'm working on this set, I don't think I've ever told you guys how I even got into nails in the first place. So it's actually a pretty wild story, this one. Back when I lived in a super rural area for uni, I was doing uni at the time, and there was like only a few salons in downtown. So I basically looked up like what is the highest rating one, and I thought, okay, this is gonna be probably decent. But let me tell you, I was so wrong. So I went for my appointment, and keep in mind guys that this this was literally my first time. So I've never gotten my nails professionally done ever. So I was like, okay, this is gonna be a new experience. I would like to try it out. So I didn't really know what to expect. So I went in and I asked for almond shaped nails with the French tips, and I asked for like pink hearts as well on top of them. I also even brought a picture to show with me in hopes that the nail technician would understand exactly what I want. I know it's not going to be perfect like the picture, but I want it to be at least similar, you know what I mean? So I sit down and I wait for my turn, and this guy comes up to me to do my nails. And this man, you guys, literally pulls the mustiest, crustiest, dingiest nail file I have ever seen. It was so nasty. And then he starts filing my nails, and then also starts filing my skin too. The skin was literally aching and hurting so bad, and I was like, hey, excuse me, you're hurting my skin. And the man goes like, oh no, it's your nail shape, this is normal experience, it's normal to feel pain. Guys, that point, most of you would probably be like, okay girl, like why are you even there, just leave. But literally guys, I thought this was normal. I had no idea. And then he asked me like, oh, how long do you want them? And I was like, oh yeah, I want them exactly like how it is in the picture, which would be around medium. So what do you guys think he does beyond that point? This man literally cuts them so short it was starting to ache. And I asked him like, what are you doing? I wanted them this length like in the picture. And at that point I should have actually just walked out. Like, it's just like red flags piling on top of red flags. This man proceeds to literally go like, oh no, this would look better on your nail shape, structure, and hand. I was like, what? So when it was actually time for the nail design, guys, the French tip, oh my god, the French tip was so chunky and so uneven, and the hearts that he painted on, and I'd have no disrespect for any other nail tech, you guys, like I'm going through that journey myself and I know how hard it is, but oh my gosh, they look like they've been through some trauma. And guess how much I paid for this dang mess? It was a total of 45 pounds, and I was really furious. Like, obviously I had no problem paying because it was at the end of the day a service. I was just really unhappy with that. So as I left, I obviously put a really bad review on Google, which, by the way, spoiler alert, it did get taken down. They flagged it because they didn't like that. So I'm like, okay, this is how they're making like really good reviews. Makes sense. Fast forward a week later, things I thought wouldn't get worse from there. There's no way. I literally started seeing my natural nail lifting from my nail bed, and I was like, oh my god, what is happening? So I did some research to figure out what on earth is actually going on with my nails right now. And it actually turned out that I contracted a fungal infection because of their poor hygiene and the really nasty tools that they use. Like, ew. For me. And at that point, all these piled up experiences, just one red flag after the other, I was just like, okay, you know what, this is making me really uncomfortable. I'm not gonna go through this anymore. And I was so traumatized from like having to go to a salon like that ever again. So thankfully, after I got treatment for my nail, took care of it and solved the problem, and it's like back and healthy, I was like, okay, I want to get my nails done, but I would never set foot into a salon again, not after the experience that I had. And guys, I want to be clear, not every salon is like this. At that point, I didn't know the difference between a chop shop and an actual nail technician where they service you at their home or their private salon or things like that, where it's more professional. I had no idea there was even a difference. So your experience might be completely different than mine. So I started looking up and saying like, oh, how do I do nails at home and things like that. And then I found out about Gel-X, and honestly, you guys, like, this was like the best thing that has ever happened to me, because I've always loved art, and when I saw what Gel-X was like, I was like, hang on a minute, this is pretty like self-explanatory. I think I can figure this out with the right research and the right tools. And now I got to create these fun designs without worrying about someone filing my nails and skin off, giving me a fungal infection. And that's exactly where my passion started, from that crazy experience. And I couldn't stop doing nails since then, and now I can do like my nails every once a week if I wanted to, in the way I prefer, knowing the cleanliness and the tools which I properly sanitize, because fungus is just really scary, you guys. And then after that, I'm going to be adding the finishing touches, which are going to be the beads and obviously the stars on here. And for the chopper nail, this nail has been such a frustrating experience, truly. So obviously I'm going to dedicate a whole nail for Chopper himself. He's my favorite. I started by painting a baby pink base. Then I got some baking paper to measure the sides out of the nail. And here's what I tried to do. I want to create like my own sticker because I've seen a lot of videos on Instagram where they create their own like sticker by pinning it separately, peeling it off, and adhering it to the nail. So I was like, I want to do that. So I got the baking paper and wanted to use it initially as a stencil and draw Chopper, then basically paint over it and then peel it off with no issue and then adhere it to the nail. This technique works with gels. I've noticed when I tried this with hard gel, the hard gel specifically does not bend, but with like obviously colored gels, they're quite malleable, so you can shape them and move them without them cracking or flaking or anything like that. So I tried placing the baking paper on my phone to attempt to like kind of trace Chopper, but it wasn't really see-through and I wanted to cheat my way in and it didn't really work out. So basically I ended up having to go old school and freehanded the whole thing. And let me tell you guys, this was a process, okay? Like, I haven't really drawn anything in years, but I'm really glad that I've actually tried this. after my sketch was done, I basically painted the outline, and my plan was to fill it all in and then carefully peel it off. Everything from that point went fine until I reached to the part where it kind of went into a big mess. I had to cut that out, unfortunately. When I actually peeled the sticker and tried to stick it on the nail, I had, for some reason, this bright idea that I had to basically top coat the nail and the painted chopper on it. I kind of adhered it on the nail thinking that it wouldn't crinkle, and then I tried to flash cure it that way, and it left so many air pockets and gaps, and it was just horrible. So I ended up filing a lot of it off and kind of redid most of the line work on the nail. So don't be like me. If you do want to do that, I would recommend you would use cling wrap, peel the actual sticker, use some nail glue, and then cling wrap that with the painted sticker that you made on top of the glue and wrap it like really snug and tight, and then you flash cure it so you don't do what I do. Or to make your life way easier, I don't know why I never thought about this at first, but I thought about it as I was recording. I saw these little videos on TikTok and it was actually really good pointers. What you can do is actually paint a matte top coat, and you can draw it with a pencil, like sketch the whole thing and then paint it on the nail. But to be honest though, this was my first try and I'm glad I failed to make all these mistakes. So hopefully now in the future, when I get to do this again, it is going to be something that I know how to do, hopefully. So now moving on, I'm gonna go with the rumble balls. If you guys remember the little balls that he eats and then he just gets a power up, it was really cute. So I mixed the orange jelly polish with the IBD gel, and look at me go again, wasting IBD gel. Don't be like me, please. And I basically formed the little balls. I globbed some of the mixture on my liner brush and I twirled it, then lifted it, and then I immediately cured that. And the reason I have to flash cure it quickly is because if I don't flash cure it in between, it's gonna self-level and lose the perfect ball shape that I want. So finally, for the finishing touches on this nail, I'm going to add some cute little star charms. Alright, this one is one of my favorites because it was the easiest. It was quite refreshing from the rest of the set, to be honest. And this is probably like my first time successfully achieving a chrome look, and it's going to be inspired by Dr. Hiriluk, who is such an iconic character in Chopper's story. He's the one who gave Chopper his dream of becoming a doctor and wants to cure every disease out there. So for this nail, I was really inspired by the doctor's green shirt and the collar, which is honestly such a standout because considering his look, I mean, obviously apart from the hair, he's pretty bold. I started with a green gel polish, applying really thin coats, again, to avoid wrinkling. And once that's cured, I applied a matte top coat. I've tried this method before, but I didn't have any luck with it before. But now with adding matte top coat to be able to achieve an aura look seemed to work pretty well. The matte base kind of adds like a better color payoff because it's more buildable and it's easier to work with on that surface. After that, I use this ombre sponge I bought from like Temu, and I'll create the white aura using that. And for each layer, I'm gonna have to flash cure that. So curing it in between is gonna really help the pigment. And after that, I applied another layer of matte top coat to seal it in. Then I mixed a black jelly with a top coat. The whole purpose of me doing this is to basically see what the top coat is. I don't know if this step is redundant. I've never tested it out on different polishes. It could work, it couldn't work. I don't know. I wanted to play it safe using top coat. as I laid the design in. Once that's cured, I used a sponge to rub the gold chrome on the nail, and obviously it's going to be super messy when you rub the chrome on top, but trust me, it's gonna get better. You're gonna grab the clean side of the sponge and then you wipe it off, and all the excess glitter that is touching the matte top coat is just gonna wipe right off. And I would really recommend you use a really old top coat that you don't care about laying around and top coating it with that, because I did that and I want to avoid contaminating my good ones, to be honest. So for the candy nail, I used a light yellow gel polish for the base, and this one's actually going to be capturing Chopper's playful and sweet personality. And Chopper is so freaking cute, you guys. He has such a sweet tooth. Like, anytime there was a wholesome moment in the show, you'd always see him just having some cotton candy, bonbons, or some treats, and it's super adorable. And because I thought that part was so cute and endearing part of his character, I wanted to bring that into the design. So I started with the 3D gel to sculpt the candies, and I first worked on creating this bonbon using the silicone tool I used for the flowers. I like these because if I use any other tools, I've noticed that it gets sticky, and I just want to prevent that. And I basically shaped it to give it the round candy-like shape. And once that's done, I moved on to this lollipop, and I made a small little ball, patted it in place, and I made sure to put like a little divot in there so that when I put the stick through, it could properly go in. And so for the stick, I had to really roll a very, very thin piece of gel, fully cured that. Then I painted that white and flash cured that. After that part was done, I inserted that into the lollipop head, but keep in mind the lollipop head is still not cured. And once I liked the look of that, I secured that in place, flash cured that, and trimmed the rest of the lollipop stick. And next up is going to be the cotton candy nail. And with the same technique that is used for the Sakura flowers, I'm looking for the exact same texture. So I wanted to make it as imperfect and fluffy as I can. And so I painted it with pink gel and poured some acrylic powder on top. And it still looked patchy and I could still see some unevenness. So I layered that part over again and it actually started looking like cotton candy. But keep in mind, once you do your first layer, you have to cure the second layer. So that's what I did. and finally added some of the sparkle and the details. I adhered the pearls and the caviar beads for the finishing touches. Let me know, you guys, what do you think of this set? Because I really enjoyed making this series. If you are interested, which straw hat would you like to see next? And I'd really want to know some of your feedback, so please drop a comment below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll hopefully see you in the next one.